Hello, my fellow fountain pen enthusiasts. I've got another pen review video for you today. And today we're going to look at the Moonman S5 fountain pen. Now I'm starting off the video facing you, and I know it's a little bit different than what I would normally do, but I wanted to try something a little bit different this time. Now, the rest of the video is primarily going to be just looking at the fountain pen, but I'm going to be doing some voiceover and change up the structure of the video just a little bit. And just tell me in the comment section what you think about it. I do know it's been a while since I've done a video. I do apologize. I think like most of you out there, I'm about ready for this year to be over with. I did unfortunately have to have knee surgery. That kind of took away from some of the time that I had to do videos. But I'm back into it now. Got to try and dedicate more time to this process because it's something that I rather enjoy. So hopefully look forward to me having more videos coming out in the near future. But with all that being said, let's jump into the pen review. Now the first thing you're gonna get with this pen is of course the packaging. It has a nice paper outer sleeve, a great aluminum can or aluminum container. Of course you have the Moonman branding all over the container as well as the designation for the pen. The actual container itself is, to me, reminds me very much of a Delight fountain pen, what you would get with one of those. Now, opening it up, it does come with a few things. So, of course, you're going to get your pen. You also are going to get 2 extra nibs and an eyedropper. I wound up giving my eyedropper to my son. That's why it's not in there. Let's take a look at these nibs. So these nibs are actually somewhat unique. It's going to come with the standard Moonman nib. It's a number 5 size nib. And then it's actually telling us that we're going to get a medium and a broad nib. Standard stamped feed on the back. So just your basic injection molded feed. But the nibs, to me, the extra nibs that you receive with this are really kind of something that really brings this pen together. You'll notice this nib that is in this image has kind of a uh, stub-like quality to it. This would, I would assume, be somewhat of the broad variety. The pin also comes with somewhat of a looking like a left oblique nib. It looks like it has that 15-degree angle at it. That is actually the nib that I physically have in the pin right now. So you will get to see that nib in action. And the image you see here is the number 5 Moonman Super Quality nib. This is a solid nib. Good writer. If you've ever used one of these nibs, you know what I'm talking about. I think Moonman's proprietary nibs are excellent. So you shouldn't be disappointed if this is the nib that you choose to use. But for those of you that like variety, I think it's really nice that they gave variety in this package. Now, moving on to the pen itself, the first thing that you're going to notice, to me at least, is that band. You'll notice it has that cubic zirconium in the middle as a roll stop. Beautiful gold band with some Moonman branding. And then there's that wonderful looking section. Nice hourglass section. Just very attractive. Nib, no frost there. Completely crystal clear. You can see the nib, see the feed. Polished ends. They're flat top on both the cap and the barrel. So I love that. Very similar to that of a Duofold or a Moonman C1 for that matter. So if you wanted to, you could actually put this pen from the barrel or the cap on the desk and let it stand on its own. Beautifully stunning with ink in it. And here I am going to stand it just to exhibit what that looks like. All in all, just an absolute gorgeous gem of a pen, in my opinion. Now, getting kind of a little bit of a better look at that section, that nib, kind of what you would see. I just can't, talk more about how attractive that is. Now, uncapping the pen, it takes about 2 full turns to uncap. So, quite a few threads there, but not necessarily an issue. And then we get another nice little close up of that nib in that section. I think one of the things that I really enjoy is that, they chose the material. I think this material that they chose for the section is beautiful. It's a very nice acrylic, lots of colors. Now, something else to look at is actually posting this pen. It posts very securely, very deeply, and firm. It's actually quite gratifying to post this pen. Now, if you're someone that doesn't post your pen, to me, it fits very comfortably in the hand. That section is nice, ergonomic, and then posting it to me, again, this is one of the few pens that I actually enjoy posting. Works very well, fits in the hand nicely. Now, taking a look at some sizing comparisons, who better than to compare to some Moonman fountain pens? So on the top, of course, we have the Moonman C1, and then we have the Moonman M2, and then the S5 on the bottom. So gives you kind of an idea of the overall stature compared to these three popular pens. It's also nice because you can kind of see somewhat of an evolution of these three pens, the M2 being first, the C1, and then now the S5. So here we see all three pins in their uncapped form. I'm not going to post them because the other two really don't post. The M2 does, but it's not a very good poster. The C1 is never meant to be posted. We'll also get to see here in a moment a close up of the sections and the nibs and really kind of see a comparison. You'll notice that the C1 and the S5, the nibs are both hourglass shapes and very gratifying to hold in the hand, whereas the M2 is its own unique type section. And for some people, they like that section. For me personally, I enjoy the hourglass or the traditional sections more. And then we take a look at the nibs. Now, of course, the C1 has that, nice number 6 size Moonman nib. The M2, from this perspective, has, even though it's a number 5 nib, it does look somewhat smaller. I think it's just the way it's seated in that section. And then really it should be a number 5 nib for both of those pins. Now, for additional sizing comparisons, we have the Pilot Metropolitan here. For those of you that maybe don't own those other two pins, the Metro is a pretty popular pen. A lot of people own it. You can tell that the sizing is very similar, but the S5 is girthier. And then here we see them in their uncapped form. Again, somewhat similar in overall length. So if you own a Metropolitan, that's predominantly what you're going to get. But the S5, again, is a girthier pen. Now, as far as the weight of this pen with its ink is 19.3 grams. The full length of the pen is 135.4 millimeters. Uncapped, 123.8 millimeters. The widest point of the barrel is 14.3 millimeters. The middle of the section is about 9.6 millimeters. The overall section length of the pen is about 21.7 millimeters, so decent size there. That is included with the threads. And the posted length of the pen is 136.6 millimeters from the tip of the nib to the end. Now let's take a look at a writing sample with this pen. So the ink that I'm using in this pen is a ink that I rather like, and that is the Nemensine Snowball Nebula fountain pen. Now, this is a kind of glittery ink, and I'm actually using that left oblique nib. So, it's a very smooth nib. Now, one thing to note with oblique nibs, and for any of you that have maybe never used this type of nib, it is finicky as far as writing angle goes. You kind of have to rotate the nib a specific way. So you'll really want to play with it to get used to it. But once you get used to it, it offers a very, nice writing experience and offers some character to your writing as well. The angles in which you hold it and rotate the pen are going to give you a lot of really good character with your writing. The other thing that you'll notice with this pen is it's a nice wet writer. It really lays down a consistent amount of ink. Now, here we see on those upstrokes how it's a much narrow line, and then those down cross strokes, it definitely is a wider line. There's me just kind of scribbling, but that's kind of, again, different than you would get from a cursive italic, where your actual cross strokes, as if you're drawing a T, would be much narrower. This one is going to be more on that up diagonal stroke. So definitely different. Now here you get to see some reverse writing. Um, kind of the pen actually works very well with reverse writing. Now you have to again hold it at a different angle than you would a traditional nib, but it does work and perform very well. Now, here, I'm just going to kind of again do a little bit more scribbling. Here's a bit of a wetness test. So it gives you an idea of how nice the ink, how much ink it lays down on the paper. Very gratifying writer, very nice. I really cannot begin to express how much I enjoy using this nib specifically. I'll do a little bit of kind of scribbles, and then I'll also do a little bit of like faster writing to see how well the nib keeps up. Faster writing is harder, not because the nib can't keep up, but because it's harder because you can't focus on the angle in which you hold the nib as easily. So you are going to get some skipping at times if you try and write really fast. Would I say this nib combination is like an everyday workhorse type? Not necessarily, but I will say that it's very gratifying to write with and it works very well. Now, as far as rating the pen, first thing we're going to rate on this pen is the actual aesthetics of the pen itself. Now, for me, this is really just how the pen looks overall on a scale from 1 to 5. I get it a 4.5. The only thing that I can take away from this pen is probably the roll stop. It's not my favorite choice. I wish they would have gone with something different. That's why I give it a little bit of a knock, but everything else is perfect in my opinion. The overall mechanics of this pen, I give it a 5. It performs well. It's very simple to use. Um, just a great pen to write with. Very, very enjoyable. Now we have to talk about overall writing experience. The overall writing experience of this pen is exceptional. I give it a 4.5, maybe just because of a little bit of a knock of the aesthetic part of it, but I feel and I enjoy riding with it. So really when you get to that kind of wow factor for me, of whether or not I enjoy the pen, I give it a 4.5 too. Not quite a 5, but it's right there. I I'm kind of comparing it to that of my C1. My C1 is just a very, very enjoyable pen, but this pen is an overall a 4.5. Great, great fountain pen. Um, I can't complain. Give this pen a chance. It's around $20. You can get it on both Etsy and eBay. It is a fabulous pen. All of you, please take care out there. Stay safe. It's a crazy world we're in right now. Stay safe. Continue writing. This pen deserves a big thumbs up. Goodbye, everybody.